Hi guys! I was asked to do a greenhouse tour by several people, and I have been kind of putting it off because it's a huge undertaking for me to record it and then trim it down so it's not too long. So hopefully this video isn't going to be like 3 videos long, but I wanted to show you guys just the ones that are in bloom, or if they're like important to me. But yeah, so this one is a Psychopedium Louisendorf. I think I'm saying that right. This is a lily cat. Right here, she hangs out in the greenhouse all the time. I don't know why. These blooms are one of my pride and joy. Unfortunately, I just discovered that it was in bloom yesterday. It was stuck behind the greenhouse, or behind the shelf at the back of the greenhouse, and it was all fully in bloom. So I pulled it out and this is what it looks like. I just discovered this yesterday, by the way. But it has really a long spike right here in full bloom. Really pretty. Unfortunately, I didn't, being the idiot that I was, I didn't get to spend that much time enjoying it because it was hidden. This one right here is in full bloom as well. It has 2 flower spikes, so it beat its neighbor over there. Really gorgeous blooms. The spikes are really long, and the bulbs are also huge. Some of my Cymbidiums lions tend to be really big. So this is one of them. This one was also a rescue, I believe, and it is a DTPS. It is in, I think this was a late bloomer, and it's kind of done blooming though. It didn't last that long, especially for a late bloomer. I have all my paths up here, so a little bit higher up than the phals, but not super high on the shelves, and they are doing really well here. My frags, some of my rescue frags are not doing that well, but they weren't really that good looking to begin with. But there's one I have to show you. My Fragrant. This one, there's no way that I could possibly take a good picture of this one because it just looks like an old man rock star. He has that long hairdo right here, and then he looks like he has no teeth right here with his long hair on both sides. So I had a really huge plant of this one, but I divided it up and I got one fan, and it is growing a new fan right there, and the rest of the plant is really huge and I traded it off. So this is what I have, and it's my first rebloom of a frag ever. It has 2 new buds up there. I'm really excited about this one. My Insignia right here is coming out of bloom, so it bloomed quite a few buds already, but it finally have dropped a lot of its blooms. I did break off the flower spike on this one, so it only has 2 buds and 2 blooms. Up on the top shelf are my Cetan orchids, and the only reason why I have them on the top shelf is because there's a mister that swings right there. So the nozzle's right there, and it mists off my orchids over here. So these guys like a lot of water when they're growing, so that's why I have them right here. But when they're not growing anymore, I would be putting them lower on the shelf in a different place so they don't get watered as often. But I will do a separate video for the Cetan orchids, or another update for them when they are in bloom. My Nepenthes are doing super well. You can see all of these pictures. That's 2 plants right there. When I purchased them, they were a rescue, and they had no pictures. And I think one of them had maybe like one or two, but there was another one that the pictures, I guess, were all dead and they weren't making any pictures. So the owner sold them off and cut off all the pictures. But now I have an abundance of pictures. So many pictures. They don't catch a lot of bugs, and the reason why is because I have a fan going all the time. So they could not, they're sitting sort of like in the way of the fan. They do catch a few bugs, but not that much. Oh, I have to show you guys this. This fowl is so freaking sad. This is the Schilleriana. I got this one at Brookside Orchids, and I have to say that I'm very disappointed because, first of all, it's not only is it not fragrant, which sometimes these types tend to be not fragrant, but it's also not pink. It's white. So I was really disappointed, and it's not doing that well in my greenhouse, I have to say. But I'm disappointed because I emailed Brookside and they said, oh, a whole bunch of ours are also, from the same batch, are also blooming white. And they don't know what happened, and they said it's an albino. But I just can't imagine having all of them in the same batch as albinos. The leaves and the roots look like a Schilleriana, but I just can't understand why a whole batch of them would be albino. So I kind of have a really hate relationship with this one. I'm keeping it to make it suffer. I know, it's terrible of me. Over on my right side at the bottom are my phals. And these are at the bottom because they like less light than some of my other orchids, so they sit below my Cattleyas and Dendrobiums. This is a DTPS right here. It's really pretty, and I got this one probably about 1.5 years ago. This beautiful one is, I believe, one of my first orchids ever. I got this one more than 2 years ago, and I think it might be like my 4th or 5th orchid, and it looks like it's been spray painted. This one I think I got at Trader Joe's. I'm not sure exactly. Actually, no, I don't think this one was at Trader Joe's. It was at I think Exotic Plants. This one is just a blush color one. There's nothing really amazing about it, but I do like the blush tones ones. This one has been in bloom for quite a long time, and you can see it's dying off because the flowers are just not doing that well. It's been in bloom for about, I would say, 4 months now. And just some of my white phals. I'm not a big fan of white phals, but for some reason I have quite a few of them. This is the DTPS I showed earlier. It is dying off, so this one has been in bloom for quite a long time as well. A lot of my phals have been in bloom for months because they spiked during the winter when it was cold. And this one is actually a replacement. I killed the first one, and then I've been looking for one ever since because it reminds me of a Vanda, and I like that, so I figure I would look for another one, but nothing is as beautiful as the first one. These ones are sort of hidden in the back, so I didn't see them, but I thought I would just show it to you guys. I like spotted orchids. My sister does not. So I get like a whole bunch of spotted orchids. These particular ones last for a long time, and I have quite a few phals in spike and in bloom during the winter season. I think they love the drop in temperatures, and I think out of about like 80 phals, I had more than half of them in spike and in bloom. And I got rid of a whole bunch of them too. I think I got rid of about, I would say, 30 of them. More phals over here. These guys, I have to say, Lots of people don't like them, but they do last forever. And some of these have been in bloom for 4 months. And they keep, because of the light in here, I get a lot of light in here, that they keep on blooming constantly. They'll put out more buds until their spike is really, really long. And they can, some of them have, I think, have been in bloom for a year because they keep on putting out flowers at the end of their spikes, which is pretty crazy, but it happens. This is one of my favorite ones, the purple ones with the splashes and the sprays. Right here, I had about 8 of them, and I did sell off, I think, 2 or 3, but I plan on keeping the rest because they are rescues, and I do love this one so much. Unfortunately, this is one of my least favorite phals. I do not like this color, this kind of greenish yellow color, light yellow color. For some reason, it just doesn't really make me, it doesn't bring me joy. So I'm considering getting rid of this. It's really a huge plant and very healthy, but it's just not my thing. And I will show you guys the orchid that has been in bloom for a year now. It's this one right here. And this one was given to me. It has a terminal spike, unfortunately. But it has been in bloom for a year because it keeps putting out more flowers at the end of its spike. And it actually smells very lightly, like I would say lemon scented, but it is a really prolific bloomer. And yeah, she gave it to me when there was like only 1 or 2 flower buds left, and that was about a year ago, and it has been in bloom, constantly in bloom ever since. Down below here are the Plumerias and part of the Cymbidium collection. They're so big that they just couldn't fit anywhere else. So I bought 4 Plumeria cuttings. It was last year in February. I gave 2 to my mom and I kept 2, and we were going to have a contest to see whose Plumerias would be bigger, and of course she won because she has 2 green thumbs and I have maybe 1 green thumb. So of course these are hers. They're really huge, and those are not Plumeria flowers, by the way. That's just my big phal that's in the back. But you can see that hers are doing a lot better than mine over here, which are skinnier. This one I just purchased from Home Depot, but these ones here, these 2 here, are mine from cuttings. And I'm thinking that it's because I put them in a really tiny pot and the roots were all over it. It was kind of cramped in there, and mine just didn't develop as well as hers, being that hers are in a bigger pot. So I just repotted them. I transplanted them into a bigger container, so hopefully mine will soon be as vigorous as hers. There's a gigantic one in the back. That's hers. That's from the same plant, these 2. I have some of my seedlings here. These are my flask babies. They're still so tiny, and a lot of them were damaged during the shipping process, unfortunately. So they were just recently deflasked. My Rhynchostylus gigantea. Here are some more Rhynchostylus gigantea, but these are bigger because they are from a different seller, and she was closer to me, so they didn't spend that much time in transport versus the other ones. I think it was like 2 weeks in transport. These are pretty big. They're from the same seller as these Rhynchostylus gigantea. They are doing really well, and they have been recently deflasked as well, but they're doing super well because this seller is pretty awesome. These are my Neophoenicia falcata seedlings. some of them didn't make it. They were really, really small. But the ones that are big enough, like, they're growing and they're putting out roots. They're doing really well. I'm having a lot more success with flask orchids. These over here are the Vanda tricolor flask babies. Some of them are doing really well. Actually, all of them are doing really well. It's just that some are bigger than others and are doing more vigorous than the other ones. But they still are, a lot of them, like I haven't really lost a whole bunch. I have some of my Cattleya, oh gosh, Cattleya lodigesii, who knows. Over here as well, along with some of my Vandas and my pride and joy, the Sophronitis and Vanda. I know these like to be mounted, but they were so small, and there's no way I'm gonna sit around and mount every single one of them in a tiny, tiny mount. So I think that they do better for me in these tiny shot glasses. And they are shot glasses because I water them every single day, and the roots are doing really, really well. So far, I have lost 0. Someone I met on a Facebook group, and she's super duper nice, and she grows so many Cymbidiums, and they're all outdoors. They're doing extremely well. They love her weather. She was able to give me some Cymbidium back bulbs. So these are the ones that I have, and I potted them just in those drinking cups. So they're about, I would say, 3 inches wide. I did not know that I could grow them because I was kind of like, I'm not sure if it was possible for me because I'm not too confident in my abilities. But I have to say that they did really well. There's at least 3 that are showing signs of new growth. So there's one right there. There's another one there. You can see that little green nubbin that's growing out. And right there, that green one, bloop, right there. Really small, but anything green is awesome. I have, of course, the whole tray, so I'm hoping for the best. A lot of the bulbs, actually, I think most of the bulbs are still firm, so I still have hope. As long as they stay firm for a long time, I think they will be able to put out a new growth. But if they're so desiccated, I most likely will not have anything. My Psychopsis will probably not win any award because it looks kind of mangled. But it's still pretty to me, and it has been in bloom since I purchased it. So I bought it in bloom with a spike, and it has been in bloom ever since. They are sequential bloomers, so I just leave the spike on and they develop a bloom, they drop the bloom, and then in a few weeks they develop another bloom, which is pretty awesome. I think I have a thing for sequential bloomers because I don't feel like I have to wait so long for a bloom. This corner, I put my fern here with my corn silk plants and some other plants in there that I'm not particularly fond of. They're not orchids, but when I water the 3 on the top, it also waters my corn silk. And this corn silk plant was given to me when it was in really bad condition, and it dropped all of its leaves. Look at how dead it is. But I'm really happy to say that it has new growth up top. Here's the shot of one of the new growths, so never lose hope. This one looks really dead, and it really isn't, so it's pretty awesome. There's more new growth right here. I'm really excited. I think in a year it's gonna be like new again. Reborn. This bud belongs to my Sobralia, and I purchased this, I think, in April, I believe, from Cow Orchids. And right now they're actually having an open house I think it's like Summer Hummer, where they're showing off all their Sobralias, and I really wanted to go, but it would be like an, I don't know, 7, 8, or maybe 9-hour drive down there, so of course I wasn't gonna go, and I can't spend that time or money, but I did get this one when they were in town. It has bloomed twice already with 2 blooms, and it's putting out another bud, so I'm really excited about this one. I did repot it, and I kind of like banged it a little bit, but it did really well. I think I've shown this plant many times before, but it is a very, very vigorous grower and also bloomer. So this is one of my Epidendrum hybrid. It's doing extremely well, to the point where I had to bust it out of its pot because the roots were so crazy, and I did put it into a gigantic clay pot, and right now it's in bloom again. I do think that this one blooms about 4 times a year minimum. And on this shelf too is where all my bromeliads are. I have bromeliads, big bromeliads in the bottom as well. That one was my first bromeliad back there. It's busting out of its pot, and I really need to repot it, but I'm so freaking lazy. And they are getting way too much for me. They are getting really, really big. So more bromeliads. I don't do anything to them. I water them. I treat them like orchids, and they do wonderful. The only thing is they do like water in the crown, so I put water in the crown, versus with orchids I try not to. My BLC Amy Wagasugi, I did not even know this was fragrant when I purchased it, and that was about, I would say, more than a year ago. I purchased that one in Spike, so I cannot take credit for those blooms. But it put out like the most beautiful and fragrant bloom ever. It smells a lot like, everyone told me it smells like Hawaii. I put it into this pot, and it's kind of growing sideways because I think I underestimated its ability to grow. So I put it in a very small pot. That's why it could not hold it, so I had to hang it up. And for a whole year it didn't do anything except grow new bulbs. And I was really disappointed until yesterday when I checked it, and 2 new sheets with buds in them. I mean, these are pretty developed and far along, so I didn't really need to do that trick where you shine the flashlight on it, but I mean, you can see that, or you can feel that there's something inside of here. 2 sheets at the same time. Super duper excited! I will do a video when it finally blooms. These are just a few of my African violets. I have to say that even though they're beautiful, I just cannot seem to stay in love with them for too long. And the reason is they take up a lot of space. I find that mine do not like to touch anything. They like to be like, I'm in my own little bubble. And the problem with that is, where am I going to have the space for all of them? This is just a few of them, and they're already taking up a big portion of the greenhouse. Okay, so here are my hanging orchids, and I just want to do like a quick video of them because none of them are blooming at the moment. My Sanhopia is done blooming, but I did do a video on that, so I'll post that too. This is another Sanhopia, and it is in a basket currently. It hangs with my Vandas. It gets a lot of highlight, but I haven't had any problem with sunburn yet, and they've been here for at least a month or so. They're doing really well. It's very, very hot. But I do have a shade cloth on top. My Boviphyllum Phalaenopsis is doing really well. So it dropped one of its old leaves right here. This one was damaged when I purchased it when it was a lot smaller, and it has grown really huge. And it's put out another growth. This one is growing upward, so I don't know how that's going to do when it gets super big, and I don't know how that's going to do. But I was hoping it would just go downwards. I'm still in the process of learning, so I might have to like push it downwards next time. But yeah, we'll see how this develops. I have all my Vandas hanging up here with my air plants that I just moved up here as well. One of my primary hybrid Phalaenopsis is not doing as well as I wanted it to do, but it's recovering. It's putting out a new leaf right there, and the flower spikes are putting out new buds. My huge air plant is right here with its awesome roots that they don't really need. Down the line is just a bunch of random plants. I have all of my Dendrobiums, Nobiles, hanging over here, and I'll show you a closer look. These are my Nobiles. They're this one, oh god, I was so stupid. This is the only growth it has left. This one's been suffering for a whole year, and this growth was getting so big that it actually snapped. What? So I had to tie it up. But seriously, come on. Ugh, so stupid. And all of these, look at this one. So this one actually spiked and bloomed in the summer, if you can believe that. And it's sitting in water while it was spiking and blooming. I don't know what happened. And this one has been in bloom for a while, but seriously, I just get so confused, and I think maybe it's confused too. My Dendrobiums that need a winter rest are all down here. I put them here so they get a lot of light, but in the winter I don't have to water them because they're so high up and I'm so short. It just makes it difficult to water, and that reminds me not to water them. I know, this is my logic, okay? It might not make sense, but it works for me. I have some of my Vandas down here and my Dendrobiums that need a lot of light. Last but not least, one of my favorite orchids ever, and I'll put the name up on the screen for you. But this one I saw at a show. I had to have it, and it didn't have a label. Of course, the only plant on display that didn't have a label. My sister was able to find the name for me, and then I was like, okay, where can I purchase this orchid? And fortunately, one of my friends, Jackie, was there, and she helped me find this plant because she saw someone else had it. I went to Andy's Orchids where where the other person got it, and there was only one left. It wasn't in bloom or in spike, and I was kind of disappointed, but not really, because I got it to be. And finally, someone who was there with me, Jackie, she found the seller who was selling this plant, and it was Andy's Orchid, so I went over there and I was like, do you guys have this one? And the seller said, we only have one left. So I picked it up, even though it wasn't in spike or in bloom, but that didn't matter because I got it to spike and bloom. It was the longest spike I've ever had. It was like 2 months. Actually, the Sanhopia spike was also about 2 months, but yeah, it's a really long time for it to spike, and finally it bloomed. Some of the blooms have already died off, but it's so small that this is seriously the only close-up I could really get of it. So that concludes my orchid greenhouse tour with some of my blooming orchids. My Vandas have done blooming, so there's really nothing to talk about. I have misters up here right in the middle that runs down all the way down to the end, and they come on whenever it gets really hot. But I mean I have to turn it on, but whenever it gets really hot I turn it on, and they can be set to a certain time. So I have a timer, and it's really great because it keeps the greenhouse cool. I have shade cloth over on this side because this is where the evening sun comes, and the evening sun burns like a whole bunch of my orchids because it's really hot. So I have that shade cloth there. It's about 70%, and it's still really hot in here. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you guys next time.